Welcome back to Netcetera Tech Tribe. I'm Ivana Paskoska, your host. In this episode, we dive into the world of agility, a force in IT innovation. The agile approach to project management continues to adapt to our fast-paced environment. Today, we will explore its core principles and discuss insights and experiences from Netcetera's agile experts Gorazd Titizov and Neda Kaleshovska. Welcome.
Hi everyone, nice to be here.
Hi.
So, give us the inside scoop on agility and why getting back to the basics is all the rage.
Yes. Thank you, Ivana. So, agility has been with us for a while, but somehow nowadays we witness a lot of buzz around agility without much understanding of what agility is all about. What are the principles, what values actually agility holds, why we went down the agility road in the first place, and really why agile. So the buzz around agility is normal, it's expected. And the reason is simple. It really works, and people have exploited from going the agile way, especially in the software world, more than we can count. So that has led to agility being super popular, but also overly exploited and not in its true form. So there we see a bit of a challenge because people are using Scrum, they're using Kanbans, the agile frameworks, the scaled agile frameworks, and they do apply them, but without much understanding of why. Why agile? What is the value, the core values, the principles, and so forth. So, as part of the Lean-Agile Center of Excellence team in Netcetera, we actually came across this as a challenge for us. And we came across it when we were actually analyzing the results from an internal survey we did, and it was called the Agility Questionnaire. And we did it for the whole organization of Netcetera. It was sometime this time last year. And one of the goals after that, so we did understand that this is a challenge for us, and we really want to ensure that every Netceterian has a consistent understanding of agility, the frameworks we use, the language we apply, and the core. So to that, we now offer in-house courses that go back to the basics. That's actually our course. We want to truly develop that agile mindset. And to that, what we want is people not to do agile, but also be agile. And even to add upon that, we've actually worked on defining our vision, how Netcetera wants to work as a way of working and as a LACE team. And I have it here as a sticker. So I will go ahead and read it. So what's the Netcetera's vision of working? And it goes to quote as back to basics. Small, lean, startup-like teams empowered to own their products A to Z with courage to innovate, step into the unknown, relentlessly improve, and excel. Minimal bureaucracy, maximum flow. And that is quite powerful there, really. We can stop and talk about it. It's inspirational, as every vision should be. And it really helps us to all pull in that same direction and check base whether all our activities, also as a LACE team, are we driving towards that vision? And this podcast actually is one example to it. We want to broadcast on the back to basics, on what agility is all about, and really why agile. So a lot of important messages mentioned here. We want to promote self-organization, to that autonomy, looking for the mindset of relentless improvement, and so on. And those are the basics, actually. That is back to the basics part. And experience has taught us that back to basics, the fundamentals, that's the key. And it has been all along, because having openness, respect, commitment, transparency, ability to iterate, to rinse and repeat, these are all back to basics core ingredients to a successful lean and agile transformation. And working on a culture that supports this is really vital. So back to basics, everyone.
Yeah, let's dive right into the core. So you mentioned lean thinking. What makes it so captivating and how can it transform our lives?
Lean thinking summed up in one word is the elimination of waste. For me, always the image of lean is, when you see those marathon runners with their lean muscular bodies, without a trace of fat or extra weight, pure muscle. That is the physical image of what people mean when they say lean. There are 5 principles of lean thinking: identifying value, establishing a value stream, creating a flow, establishing a pull system, and seeking constant improvement.
Yeah, but let's dive right into the core. What would you say are the core values of Netcetera in this context?
Yeah, thanks for that question. In etc., we're constantly striving for elimination of waste. Our business is organized around divisions. The divisions are customer facing, and each division is further organized in portfolios and value streams, which are one of the pillars of Lean, in order to establish a flow to better deliver value to the customer. In our Netcetera development teams, we are always encouraging ceremonies such as Inspect and Adapt from SAFE. So, SAFE is the Scaled Agile Framework, or the classic retrospectives in sprint iterations from Scrum. Delivering value is one of the five principles of lean thinking. Value to the customer who will ultimately use the software that we're making. In our teams, it is reflected in always involving the customer in the development process, whether as a product owner on the customer side, whether involvement in sprint plannings and sprint demos, and so on. Involvement of the customer is also one of our four main Agile Manifesto principles. So small iterations, typically 2 weeks, maximum involvement and consultations with the customers or end users, and lots of feedback. I mean, these are the recommendations that we give in each of our teams and how we want to work.
Yeah. And if I may add here, we've been hearing Gorazd talk about inspect and adapt and all these things. And, these truly are our pillars in Netcetera. So what we have here, and we do replicate the Scrum pillars to it. We have trust as foundation, and that is really key in Netcetera. That's our core value. Trust is everything. And then upon that, transparency, that is truly our key value, and then inspection and adaptation, which you heard Gora say.
Yeah.
So that really is, the core.
Yeah, thanks, Neda. To give you an agile perspective of our work in Netcetera, here we agree with Neda and the other members of our LACE team on one of the nice agile definitions. It's do the right thing, do the things right, and do it fast. In terms of customer involvement and doing the right thing and delivering value, I really feel we're doing a good job here in Netcetera. I mean, customers are involved. The industry, I'm talking about outside of the software industry, I'm talking about our customers. They're aware that if you want to get what you need to get involved in the development process. So this is something that the industry understands, and ideas such as Agile and Lean are widespread. Where I feel we could still use improvement is in utilizing the creative energies of all team members. We recently exited a worldwide pandemic where the work patterns changed somewhat dramatically. Remote or hybrid work became the norm. And it sometimes happens that teams are more distributed than we would ideally want. I feel that we have so many creative people, but their ideas are not always reaching the leading people, and we're a bit lacking in that. Another idea needing improvement, another area, is eliminating defects. Quality assurance, QA, or testing, or defect elimination, however you might want to call it. I mean, it's a whole team effort. It's not only on the shoulders of the QA engineers or single team members or the project manager or product owner. I mean, quality is a team effort, period. I feel we as a company are not there yet, and there is a lot of room for improvement in that regard.
Yeah.
So, to sum up, in terms of doing things right, I feel we're doing okay, although with room for improvement. In terms of doing things fast, the jury is still out. We're doing enterprise software. Enterprise software can be big, can be unwieldy. It is usually business critical. It is indispensable, and things like system availability, security must be the top of your mind, which sometimes can make things slow. And sometimes you need to balance the need for quality, like doing proper code reviews, or balance the need to train young engineers, etc., with, on the other hand, the need to be fast to deliver.
Yeah. But in pursuit of eliminating waste and delivering value, you mentioned the importance of involving the customer in the development process, right?
Yep.
However, when it comes to utilizing the creative energies of all team members, you feel there's room for improvement. So could you share some strategies or ideas how to effectively harness the ideas and contribution of all team members, especially if there is a distributive team or remote work environment? How is this balanced? How can this be balanced?
This is a question that many companies face, and many companies are questioning themselves. Especially after the pandemic, people started working remotely much more. And when we are working remotely, you don't get the chance to interact with each other. And many of the best creative ideas come when people are all together and interacting with each other. So one thing that we are trying to do is, in many of our teams. I mean, Neda knows she's leading one of she's a lead person in one of our value streams. We're doing in safe these PI plannings, and we saw it and we felt that when we were in the pandemic, we did this PI plannings remotely, and this was not perfect. I mean, we really wanted to get back to doing face-to-face PI plannings, and
Yeah.
this is one thing
Yeah.
where people exchange ideas with each other, and that the creative juices flow, and that's one thing. The other thing that comes to mind is our vertical communication, so to say. So if someone down the who is maybe let's say simple developer, or I don't know, a scrum master or something else, has an idea, it should be made easier within the organization that their ideas flow to the top, to the upper levels, to the various managements, or even to the top management, and so this should be made somehow easier. So that's what I mean when I say unleash the creative energies of all team members. I feel here we're a bit lacking, but let's say we're doing our
Yeah.
best in that.
Room for improvement always, right?
Always, exactly.
And
Inspect and adapt always.
yeah, if I may add here, what we've also done is, as a point right added, is, we innovation is also one of our pillars. And as Gorazd mentioned,
Exactly.
we've incorporated the scaled agile frameworks and the PI. And in that, there is actually a whole sprint dedicated for innovation, and we call that IP sprint. So we actually put it in the calendars and put it in our plans that we will dedicate 2 weeks that will be for innovation, among other things. So yeah, we're definitely working on it, taking it full into consideration, and already pushing it towards the whole organization. So
Yeah. But now we're talking about people and culture and the growth mindset as fundamentals, right? But I'm curious, what is your take on culture change? Can you change the culture if you're already far from agile? What do you think?
oh yeah, well, changing culture, that is a tough one. And we actually brought this at our table on one of our lace gatherings. We actually said, oh, yeah, change culture, sure, but how? It's not easy. And then we've mentioned this Multifogans drawing, and he goes on to talk about how to change culture. And it says that changing culture, you cannot do it directly, only through change in people's behavior. And that, again, can be done by actually changing structures. You apply frameworks like Scrum, like SAFe, and from there, you actually induce the change. But there is one warning here. You can apply whatever framework you want, but just be careful. People start doing things differently, but they incorporate the old ways of working. So they give it a new name, but still old habits die hard, and this is a common anti-pattern. So a trap to
Exactly.
be aware of. People find ways to circle through processes, so
Yeah.
be mindful. Yeah, change the culture. It's not easy. You want people's behavior, you can incorporate structure. And another key is really having people in your organization with the right values. That's a great starter. You need those. They can be agile coaches, scrum masters, actually anyone in the organization that has that right agile mindset, the right agile values. And they induce those. They spread them around across the organization. But yeah, we're changing culture, not expected in a day. You're in it for the long run. It's a marathon. We talk about sprints in agility, but this is a marathon. It's not a sprint. It's easier said than done. And yeah, but if you want to truly change it, stick to it. It's worth the investment. It's worth your efforts.
Marathon with
Yeah.
with lean bodies. Yes.
Yeah. Gorazd,
Yeah.
Marathon runners with lean bodies.
what is your take here, Gorazd?
Yeah, and I mean, basically, I agree with everything Neda said. And agile values usually cannot be established from the top down. I mean, you need a comprehensive bottom-up approach. In Netcetera, it all starts in the teams. We strive to create small, organized teams working openly and collaboratively in a seamless fashion. I mean, small teams that communicate directly with the customer, and scaling these teams up is not without its challenges. I mean, we mentioned that many of our largest value streams work within SAFe, the scaling agile framework, which presents its own challenges and problems. But that is why we follow agile principles. I mean, we inspect often, we do retrospectives, we try to correct course early and often. Wherever there are bigger challenges, we have the LACE team here to help out and offer guidance to set things right. In this way, starting with the development teams, we propagate the culture throughout the organization. So starting from the bottom up, and also in the higher echelons, we propagate it, and all the way to the top management. Hopefully, as we already mentioned, in this way, we hope to unlock the creativity also of each and every team member, no matter his or her experience and time in the company. So, as we mentioned at the beginning, it's back to basics: small,
Yeah.
lean, startup-like teams empowered to do their own work and have courage to innovate and relentlessly improve.
Yeah, agility, the ever shifting dance of adaptation, right? So,
Yeah.
but from your own personal journey, I'm curious to know your perspective on the evolution of agility and agile methodologies. Are they constantly morphing and transforming? And if they are, how do you manage to stay in sync with these ever changing trends, if we can call them? So, what do you think?
Yeah. Yeah, of course. There are changes all around. And come to think of it, actually, from the top of my head, I just remembered our CEO saying, Karsten, quoting, the only constant is change. And this goes on really for agility and agile frameworks as well. It actually is in the very core and very essence of being agile. Yeah, you want to actually continuously, relentlessly improve. You want to change. And yeah, we all learn as we do. We go the path, let's say we walk the missionary way,
Mm.
we get smarter. There are better ways. You learn more, you know more, and you adapt after inspecting. After all, it's the key. So, staying and keeping some of the old ways, knowing that there are better ways, is nonsense. You want that change. So, yeah, change is good. And the people behind the Agile frameworks, they're doing a great job. They're updating their frameworks with the latest information and knowledge at hand. And to your question, how we, LACE, keep pace with that. Basically, yeah, as a LACE team, the Lean Agile Center of Excellence, we are responsible to accelerate agility, to coach. So we're following the agile frameworks and the changes they have, like we're following the weather, let's say. So this is how we ensure our skills remain relevant and we stay competitive. So we want to stay on top of our games. We want to maintain our proficiency and then cascade it down through the organizations. We are staying at the forefront, we are keeping our skills sharp, and we're bringing it to the whole of Netcetera. So, an example I can think of, yeah, just to bring this even closer, we now had the publication of Save 6.0, which is the
Mm.
latest version of the scaled agile framework we're using. And we said, yeah, sure, it's important. The changes are vital. Let's deep dive there. So we
Mm.
recertified ourselves. We went through all the news, the changes, and we then shared it with the whole organization. We had a blog post about it. We updated our training materials. We even said, we can be sparring partners to everyone who's
Mm.
interested. We boosted some key people, Scrum Masters, to go through the changes, then cascaded down the team. So sharing is caring. We keep the
Yeah.
pace and then we share it.
Exactly.
Yeah. So, change is constant and essential aspect of agility, right? But the people behind agile methodologies continuously update their frameworks, right? So embracing change can sometimes be challenging for organizations. That's fact. How do you effectively navigate the fine line between adopting new methodologies and discarding old practices that may no longer serve your purpose? Additionally, can you share some insights into how your team at Netcetera approaches the dissemination of knowledge and the adaptation of new methodologies, such as you said the latest release of Safe 6.0?
Yeah, sure. Let me take that one. So we're following change, and as we've mentioned, it's definitely not super easy for everyone to adapt. But what we're working on is really showcasing that culture. The right mindset, as we keep mentioning. Having the mindset to there are changes, the change is constant, and we adapt to it. And bringing that to the teams, it's a challenge sometimes, but working it towards that direction is something that we strive on and we encourage that. We showcase what changes we have. And another thing how we do it, we engage people. We ask, we don't tell, okay, this is the change, we embrace it now, but have a quorum about it. What do you think? How does it help us? What do you think? In which direction should we go? We don't blindly, just follow the trends and apply them A to
Mm.
Z. We just challenge even those changes. So
Yeah, in the end, I mean, we are running a business, so that's first and foremost. So we have to earn money. So of course, I mean, even as you mentioned, we have to maybe keep a fine line between jumping on the latest trend, versus keeping the business running. But that's in all places, in all businesses, even with the developers. When there is a new framework or a new programming language or whatnot, they're careful to first evaluate it, maybe do a pilot project before jumping all in, and using it throughout the company. So it's a balancing act in the end, how we adopt new things versus using the tried and true methods. But as we mentioned even previously, I mean, we have to keep moving, keep moving, inspecting, adapting. That is the core of agile, and changing a little bit our course, but always progressing, hopefully.
Yeah. So to check base, what measures would you recommend, or what measures are you taking in regard?
Yeah, so measures are important. They are essentials, and what's really important is you want to measure what matters. And we've discussed measures and metrics in Netcetera, and we learn from each other. So basically, we've actually taken that as a topic on our community of practice of RTEs. That's the release train engineers in Netcetera, and we've shared. What metrics do you use? What metrics you use on team level, on team of teams, or as we call them, arts and safe, value streams, and portfolio. And the metrics that actually came on top of the list that we can share here is people still on team level use the good old velocity thing, which is,
Mhm.
you measure the amount of work your team can accomplish during a specific time period. We usually also measure the sprint goal achievement. You've had your sprint, you've had your goal. Did you achieve it? Which is very important because, the backlog, it can differ whether the team accomplishes everything, but the goal you want to achieve. So we take track on that. And also, some teams also do this flow distribution. It goes to say that you want to measure the proportion of items by type. And what we mean by that is you measure, example, how much new features you had, how much technical depth and maintenance tasks you had, or enablers. So you want to balance it out. You cannot do all new features, that's super cool. You also want to clean up the debt. So we also do a metric on that on a team level. And then on a team of teams or art level, as I said, so here on a team level, we had the sprint goal achievement. Did we achieve what we had in those 2 weeks short term? But also we have these PIs or 10 weeks. And there we also have goals. And again, we said the backlog, it can move left or right. It's agility, we embrace change, but we want to have goals. And we want to have goals in those 10 weeks. And we measure them. Did we achieve them or not? And then we also have this product predictability measure, and we want to see those team of teams. How did they do? How, when we sum those up, how did we do it? How much can we achieve? So a lot of metrics can be used even on a portfolio level, which is a bit high up. We have objectives, we have key results, and then we keep track of them on a quarterly, on a monthly level, what targets we've set for ourselves, and did we achieve them? So there definitely is a whole lot of things that we can say about metrics and how do we make sure we are on the right track in different kind of areas. But the important thing we want to say is really be mindful. Metrics are tricky. Be mindful how you introduce metrics to your team, project, product, wherever it is. Because there are some anti-patterns, there are some traps, there are some challenges that could happen along the way. So really ask yourself, are you doing the metrics to control, which is not the agile way, there is trust to it, we've said that, or are you doing it for the agile reasons? You want to relentlessly improve, you want to inspect and adapt, and that's why you measure it. So what tone you use, those simple things, they can be really changing to it. Explain it to the team members why you're doing the measures, that it's really to help you out, to help you along the way, to be better, to achieve better, and so forth. So yeah, measures are important, but do it with care.
Yeah, just to elaborate on that further, on a recent project I worked on where we worked within the SAFE framework in several agile teams, we also measure team happiness.
Oh,
My
cool.
point is, do not underestimate such soft
Yeah,
metrics, as they can be a useful measure to gauge where your team is at. Emphasize the human element of software development,
Of course.
provide input for retrospectives, and so on and so on. Measuring team happiness is also recommended by Jeff Sutherland. He's one of the Scrum's creators. What we used a simple custom-made 10-question questionnaire where each team member was given the opportunity to answer a question on a scale of 1 to 10. But be careful, do not go overboard with the frequency of such questionnaires. We limited ourselves to polling our team members generally once per PI. PI is this program, or now in the latest version, product increment in SAFe. So approximately 4 times per year. There are, variations for this metric, what I read. Some teams prefer to measure team morale instead of happiness, as it provides a more, so to say, grounded measure as opposed to the more subjective and generalized happiness. But, to each his own. So there is not a single best way to do agile.
I really want to know, did the team members, were the team members aware that you were trying to measure happiness?
Yeah, of course they were.
Oh,
They were.
okay.
Everything is done above board. Everything
But
is transparent.
do you think that that's some kind of maybe influence their answers, having that information?
That's always a possibility. Sometimes it is being said that what you measure, it creates the incentives in team members to 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 tailor their answers to what you measure. But still, if you keep a transparent organization, if everything is above board, everything is being openly said to the team members, you should get, so to say, real results. And in my example, the happiness of the team members really increased. I mean, you can say why it increased. Well, you listen to them, you listen to the retrospectives, you try to create a better integrated team. You progress all the time, you inspect and adapt, and you progress all the time, and then you get happier team members.
Oh,
yeah,
that's
and
actually very interesting.
yeah, and you should definitely mix quantity with quality data. You want to ask people to it so that you truly, as we are saying, you get to the
Exactly.
right data. And Gorazd, you've inspired me. We haven't done this happiness metric for a while, so yeah, we'll
I recommend
definitely
it. Do
think
it.
about it.
I
Yeah, for
look,
the next one.
I look
Do it in the
forward to
next
Thanks.
year.
knowing the results. Yeah,
I
I
would be
look
Yeah.
forward
interested,
to
yeah,
knowing the results.
whether
But
they will be more happy. Yeah.
yeah, we mentioned, actually, you mentioned something about traps to be mindful of and warnings. Can you elaborate on that?
Yeah, so like we've just said, vanity metrics is the first one, and that is you do metrics for the sake of doing metrics, and that is all wrong. Like this team, yeah, I've heard, sure, they did this metrics. Let's do it ourselves as well. You want the metric to provide meaningful insight, so don't do it just for the sake of doing it because it's popular or something to it. It shouldn't be. And also, it's not a bureaucratic exercise, and in agility, that is also very important. So make sure you understand why you're doing the metrics and ensure that the metrics you choose they align with the team's goals and they help you in this what we've mentioned numerous times, this continuous improvement. Another thing is, for instance, I've mentioned velocity as some of the metrics that the teams use. And what we see is sometimes an overemphasis on velocity. And yeah, this is surely used, it's very extensively used also in Netcetera. But if you solely focus on that, you might lead the team, to prioritize speed. Let's do it faster. Let's do it. They will measure this. And speed over quality is not where you want to go. So
Exactly. You get what you incentivize. You get what you
exactly, like
incentivize.
we've
Yeah.
said. So
Yeah.
just be sure not to neglect the important aspects, like you've said, innovation, learning. Use velocity, but just one of the metrics and balance it with the other ones. Or another trap that I can think of is metrics overload. Some people love their metrics. They
Yeah.
might have, we have people from more traditional project management backgrounds and old habits die hard. They love their metrics. And
Yeah.
this can overwhelm the team for sure. And it can actually, what's worse, it can divert their focus from the primary goal. And that is delivering value. That is really the core, to deliver value. And it's important to have the same consistent understanding of agility and etc. And we work with those challenges. We address those when we see it as a LACE team. And yeah, it's definitely something to work on. And it's finally, what we could say is what Gorazd also said. I just want to comment a bit more on that. If it's too good to be true,
Yeah.
it probably is. If
It's
the
not.
metrics, yeah,
Uh,
if the metrics are too shiny, something's fishy there. So make sure people are not tweaking the metrics. You want to set the tone right. As I said, include quality factors, not just quantity, and you're on the right track. So yeah, make sure that you promote a healthy working environment and you encourage that continuous improvement that we've said.
Yeah. But if you were to provide guidance, let's say, to organizations that are embarking on this agile journey, what wisdom would you share? What would be the crucial factors that these organizations should bear in mind as they start in going into these agile methodologies?
Sure. So yes, on advice, that's I've actually asked the same thing in Netcetera when we were doing the safe maturity evaluation as a survey, and we asked that advice, like, what advice would you give? People are trying to take on agility, and what advice do you have on that? And some interesting things that we heard were, and I would like to share. So I'm quoting our colleagues here is they said what you guys do, this Lean Agile Center of Excellence, set up that first. Make sure that you have, be it agile coaches or whatever, it doesn't have to be named Lay's team, but really have people who have the ability to coach others within your reach, who understand very well agile frameworks. They can support you. These are toolboxes, really. They should help you out. This makes sense for you. This makes sense in your setup, and so forth. Also, what Gorazd just mentioned now, this is something we often say, start small and then grow. So that's all agility. You want to do things incrementally. And as we've said, do some changes first in one team, one part of the organization, prove the case, learn along the way, and then spread it to the other teams. So don't go full blown, everything all in from the starters. Do it step by step. And remember, it's a silver bullet. So there's really no magic wand, super easy, super quick thing. We always say you need to do the sweats. You need to do it for yourself. Just make sure it's in short iterations and inspect and adapt after each. And the basics, don't forget those. Openness, transparency, the core values, what we've said, those are
Yeah.
key. Yeah. And the why you want to
Why?
apply
Yeah.
that framework.
mm.
Yeah, that is also what issue you have. What do you want to solve? Don't forget that one.
Yep.
I want to second that. Especially it's the developers have this habit of and engineers. I mean, let's not talk about just developers, but engineers in general have this habit of jumping to solutions. Jumping to solutions. But as Neda now said, what issue you want to solve. First you need to step back and just ask yourselves, what problem do I want to solve? What problem do I want to solve? And this is useful also for the customer. Maybe some customers are saying, I want this and this and this. But jumping straight to the solutions and skipping 3 steps. You want to go back and ask them, what problem do you want to solve? And then you, well, once you understand that, then you apply the solution.
Yeah. Good insights. So we are at the end of this episode, unfortunately. Of course, I enjoyed having you as guest, but before we wrap up, I want to give you the mic for final words. Do you have some final words? Messages to share on agility?
Sure, thanks, Ivana, for having us here. And with Gorazd, we can go on and on about this, but let's wrap it up. As final messages words, I would say, have better conversations sooner. Talk with your team and don't just do things out of performance, but what we've said, ask the whys, ask the questions, and the basics. Work on building the openness, the transparency, the respect. Those are your foundations. The people, that is your foundations. And you want people to trust you so that you can have all conversations out the open. You don't want a culture, like we do it, sweeping it under the rug and all that. Have, as we said, trust as foundation, and you will do much better afterwards. And don't, frameworks are frameworks, they're toolboxes. Let's not go blindly implementing something. We've seen this as an anti-pattern, and sometimes it's normal. But just remember, they're toolboxes. You should adapt those. They should work for your setup and use the tools that make sense in your context. It's also a very important learning we've learned on the hard way, and we want to share it out. And last but not least, I would say don't be shy to ask for help. You might be a team. There may be some other colleagues that have experience along that way, and ask whether you can have more support in your organization, or if not outside. That's how we do it. So thanks.
Yeah. First of all, thanks, Ivana, for the invite. I enjoyed this conversation a lot, but also great points from Neda. I mean, I absolutely agree with all that you said, Neda. What I would add, I mean, being agile, truly agile, is a process. It doesn't come overnight, either for an individual, or a team, or a whole organization. Just the other day, I heard the expression version one myopia. It was regarding the new Apple augmented reality headset that just came out. It means because something is perhaps not great immediately in version one, it can never be great. And then people might give up on it. And that is precisely why we re-evaluate and iterate, inspect and adapt, what we said numerous times throughout this talk as well. Nearly nothing is truly great in version one, but you don't give up. I mean, as in life, don't be afraid to try new things. We
Yeah,
constantly hear that usually that people are regretting more what they haven't tried in
of
life
course.
rather than what they have tried and perhaps failed. But again, do iterate, do inspect and adapt. Even if you fail, that's why we have retrospectives. Find out what goes wrong, try to learn from it, and change course. Eventually, you will get it right. That would be from
Yep.
my side.
Thank you both for being a part of our conversation today. As we bring this episode to a close, take a moment to consider how the principles we've explored might resonate with your own projects and teams. Going back to the basics can offer fresh inspiration for overcoming challenges and fostering a collaborative and flexible work environment. If you enjoyed our chat today, subscribe, share our podcast, and stay tuned for more discussions, engaging interviews, and valuable insights in the upcoming episodes. Until then, keep nurturing innovation, stay adaptable, and above all, hold on to that wonderful agile spirit.